Uh, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash. The oneness to the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, and shalom to all the brothers doing the work of Syrian truth. Got this article and it's interesting because when you look at after the what was it, the Ukraine-Russia war kicked off, you had like the economy impacted. You had it was grain and fuel were the two main things, and it was going into the winter as well when it people felt it, and now we've got it's October, it's going into winter over here in the UK. It only just started getting cold like this week. Last week it's been uncharacteristically sunny, well, I'll just say warm, uncharacteristically warm into like October, which for like the UK that's abnormal. So now we've got it where it's the cold's starting to kick in. So when you have fuel prices being affected, which with conflict in the Middle East, that's most certainly going to be something that can be impacted, and it's looking like it's not just going to stay as where's Palestine, Israel. It's Iran's gonna get involved, Syria can get involved, the US, other country. It's gonna become that focal point where other people are gonna be drawn in, because it's part of that third world where you have all these conflicts building up. So yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise to then see finances impacted, just like with Russia, Ukraine. But we'll wait and see. There's been a few, it's kind of been up and down over like the last year. You had a few things pop off. Like over here, it was like the mortgages, I think, was the most recent thing a few months back, where it was like the mortgage prices started getting cranked up, and it's been like interest rates going up that's kind of been fucking people over the most. So there's an article on The Hill. It says, a troubled world economy points to global catastrophe. It said, troubles are coming to the world economy, not as single spies, but as battalions. They are doing so on multiple fronts in the US, China, and Europe, coupled with renewed geological strains in the Middle East. These troubles heighten the chances of a full-blown world economic and financial market crisis by the middle of next year. And yeah, these things, because a lot of economies, they kind of have had issues, but it's just not come to full fruition. You've had like I said, over here, the UK, you had the energy crisis. There's still over. It kind of waned because summer kicked in, so people didn't need to pay for energy like that. But now it's come back into winter. The price, it's gonna get more expensive. And then what was the other thing I was thinking? So it's gonna get more expensive. It's kicking into winter. The sun was. I can't even remember what I was gonna just let my mind. But it's yeah. There's been issues there, kind of in waiting in the wings. The same with like China. It's like now there's the focus in the Middle East, globally focus in Middle East, focus on Ukraine still. Then Taiwan's still there. Taiwan's still a thing that people ain't forgotten about. And this is how prior world wars happened. It would be like there'll be one conflict, there'll be another conflict, then it would slowly bleed and leak out, and basically then become various other nations getting involved before it's become something that's touching globally. So it says, among the greatest threats to the US and world economic recoveries is the recent spike in US Treasury bond yields and the key interest rate in the world economy. In the short space of 2 months, the 10-year Treasury bond yield spiked from less than 4% to over 4.75%, a 16-year high. It did so in response to Federal Reserve warnings that interest rates would stay high for longer to contain inflation, as well as to growing market fears about how the US government will fund its budget deficit at 8% of GDP. The sharp rise in interest rates has already sent the 30-year mortgage rate towards 8% and substantially increased the interest rate costs for automobile purchases. So yeah, even cars as well. Mortgages have been touched, and it's like that's what 2008. It was the markets around mortgages that had it all blow up. And that's the funny thing. It's like, I remember they did the film like The Big Short, where they went into it, and then like at the end of that, they just showed like, oh, no one even got thrown in jail, except for like, I don't know, two low level guys. No one basically got held to account. And then said that there were similar products. A similar environment was being built within housing again afterwards. And well, we know the prophecy, so we know that this economy is basically being ran like a casino, because it's gonna go bust, and then that's where you're gonna get the that rice grain coming, man, that mark coming, and that's gonna essentially be the soothing balm, and that's gonna be what people are looking to as, oh, so that this is what the actual objective, the actual goal is. So this is what this must be expected soon to constitute a major headwind for both home and automobile sales at the very time when most households have run through their pandemic savings and the government faces another shutdown. And yeah, I think they made a deal on the shutdown, but I think they made like 2 temporary deals, or maybe 1 or 2 temporary deals before they got the full one through. Because why? Because it's same shit as before, where these guys are like fighting tooth and nail to get what they want. And it's really because there's been that polarization between like the two political sides, to where everything's basically become far more extreme, far more radical, to where it's like the average right winger don't want to fuck with a left winger and vice versa. High interest, so it says it's also likely to exacerbate problems in the commercial property space, where property developers are already struggling with low occupancy rates in a post-C19 world. The last thing that these developers needed was to have to pay higher interest rates on more than $500 billion in commercial property loans to come due over the next few years. Worse yet, the spike in Treasury bond yields must be expected to soon lead to a US credit crunch. It's likely to do so by raising solvency, questioning in large swaths of the US banking. And I think it's in the UK, the credit's already being like squeezed on because the interest rates went up. They've also got stricter on who they give out to. And these and that that shit starts to hit, because people are trying to do things, and then it would just be like, nah, they ain't gonna be able to do shit. And then it starts getting peak. But then it goes into China as well. China's housing's been, I think it was the Evergrande like company that was like one of the biggest like building companies, and it's essentially toast. It's gone bust, but because of the nature how China runs their shit, they can kind of delay the impact of it, to where it's like, even though people have paid for the house or they're still paying for the house, the shit's not being built. It's like one of them ghost towns where you got the skeletons of like a bunch of skyscrapers and shit. But then they're not just gonna say nice. It's a wash, because they have shit under a fucking tight fist in China. So these things as well, it's all gonna essentially leak out, and then because of why there's that huge global conflict, you start getting sanctions, you start getting trade embargoes, these things, it gets peak. Because that's what happened. That's what it was like with when the Russia-Ukraine war started. It was getting grain to certain parts of Africa. They're saying, "Yo, if these men can't get grain, people are gonna be starving. It's gonna be fucking legendarily through." But now we're getting another conflict with. It might even have more people drawn in. Once it starts getting real, then we'll have to see. It's all gonna be impacted, and it's all essentially gonna flood everything towards the mark, man. Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Yeah, and that's essentially what they're pushing to where, you're going to jump off the current system, where people are paying with the iPhone, paying with, cash, bank accounts, whatever it is, and then it's going to be tied into what? That mark, that implantable chip. And that's going to be the system everyone's going to have to contend with if they want to continue to function in society. And you can see the global economy it runs on, it's anyways, that's funny, it's a faith-based economy to where everyone within society, still has that belief in it, which is why they'll contend with it. But it can easily just, crack a leak, spring a leak somewhere, and then it's done. Like, the shit will collapse like very easily, because it's all debt based, and it's just like with the government shutdowns in the US, where it's like if they can't agree to spending, then it's just like bang, it runs out, and then various things that lean on it start to collapse, and then they can easily just come in and be like, okay, look, this is what's gonna hold it up. Psalms 73:3, it says, "For I was envious of the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." Yeah, and that envy of the foolish, that's what a lot of people out in the world are doing, man. You go into, what does it say, these traders, man, when they're dealing with Babylon, they're thinking about what? People that were made rich, people that are able to trade, people that are able to basically fund, a certain lifestyle off the back of that. And that's what the appeal is. That's what draws them in. But then what's the thing? It's if they're doing that, they're essentially not understanding how much it parallels those systems that came before. And just as how they'll have their time, they'll rise, you'll have the rise and fall, and then you'll have the decline. And then when you get caught in the decline, it can take you out too. Because there's for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. And yeah, there's people that are utilizing these systems where they might even have actual, real wealth, actual, real precious metal, land, other things. These guys will think, they will have faith in those things that they're basically on a higher level, and they are beyond the scope of your average Joe, your average geezer with like a 401k or whatever, or he's just living life and thinks like, okay, he's got certain investments, but then he doesn't realize like there's going to be no strength and all that's going to fade. Because it says, "What therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heaven, and their tongue walketh through the earth." And yeah, they're basically have, attain a status to where they think they can, they can rebel against the Most High, and these guys are trying to establish, you know, things that go against prophecy. But then, what's the reality? How's it actually going to end up? Because again, it's they're puffed up, man. They're filled with pride. This is what James 5:1. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. And yeah, all these different monetary systems, tools and methods by which they have to control men to basically make money and make merchandise off them, to grow, rich and establish themselves and live that good life. That's, essentially not, it's only going to run for how long it's going to run, man. Because there's that stopgap, there's an end goal where it's basically just going to be like, nah, they ain't running no more. Because says what, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Yeah, you've heaped all those goods for them to be taken from you. It's not even, you ain't even gonna be the one enjoying those things. Because why? It's all gonna be toast. Get I read this, Revelation 18:9. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her. Then when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. These guys are going to be lamenting. They're going to be in tears. They're going to be crumbling when they see America get done away with. Because why? It's the passageway, man. It's the pathway to that lifestyle, man. It opens up the gates as far as for them to what, essentially getting all they desire. That's what they're looking at. They're thinking like, damn, this is the access point. But then what? They're essentially arm in arm with Esau. All these different nations. They've made their bed with him. So then when it comes to what? Yahushai's return, they ain't gonna be looking to return to Yahushai. When it comes to, its monetary collapse, they're gonna be in tears, man. That's why when that mark comes out, they're gonna jump, man. People are gonna be clamoring for it. Cause why? They want and desire and must needs live in the system, man. They'll be thinking about, there's some creps about that were meant to drop. They're thinking about certain things in life that they wanted to do. They'll be like, they might be thinking I'm getting married in 6 months. They might be thinking, my business, I was meant to close this deal. They're gonna think and be able to an extent, continue their lives when they take that. But then what? Well, I get this. Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51:8. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For a judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Yeah, we would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed, man. There was no means, no method by which you could save it. It was appointed, man. It had its bounds, and then it hit, and then that was it, man. It was a wrap. And that's the thing that people are gonna find out. They're gonna discover, where they put down their chips. These guys are all betting on red. All these people caught up in the system, they're betting on Esau Edom, man. They're betting on his dragon. They're betting on his beast. They're thinking, this guy, who can deal with the beast, man? Who can contend with him, man? Who is like unto the beast? But this is Isaiah 13:17. It says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against him, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." So yes, it's essentially all, they've labored for, all they've put that time, that energy, that effort in. Just like with Babylon, man heard it was a head of gold. Nebuchadnezzar lost his mind. It was running rampant. Then he got humbled. But even then, it had his set time. Belshazzar, he was getting fresh. He took out the implements and started what do you call it? He took out the implements and then was making a celebration of it. And then he got done, man. The writing was on the wall, and it was toast. And that's gonna be the same with her, man. Where it's been, it's been set. It's been appointed. It's got a limit. And then everyone investing in it. Everyone putting, believing in these systems, that are willing to, tie their fate to Esau and take that rice grain. They're gonna receive, that reward, man. Because, hey, look at this economy, man. It's how is it gonna survive in the long term? Where's it gonna go? We can see pieces coming together. It can crumble and it'll be a domino effect. Everyone's gonna feel it, man. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.